Can you imagine what would have happened if Hamas had gotten its hands on a sitting U.S. senator or congressman? Do you know the unbelievable shitstorm we would be seeing right now? Part of me wonders if this wasn't part of the plan. Many people haven't seen this news that during the attack in Israel, Cory Booker and a man named Dan Goldman, not really familiar with Dan Goldman, but I know who Cory Booker is. They were both in Israel and had to shelter in place during the attack. Now, if there was a Democrat out there who could replace Joe Biden in the next election, Cory Booker's on the short list, because he's not as bad as a lot of Democrats are. But believe me, I'll bet when he gets back on the ground here in the United States, he's going to have some choice words for Ms. Omar, Ms. Tlaib, Ms. Presley, and Ms. Cortez, the squad. I think he's going to give them a giant dose of shut the fuck up juice, and we're not going to hear from them for a long time. Because while I'm no fan of Washington, D.C., I know it's a corrupt place. It's as bad as the Roman Senate ever was. But if there were sitting elected members of Congress being held by Hamas terrorists in Israel right now, it would be very close to World War. I mean, real quick, before we get into this, thank you. I always want to live a life of gratitude. Be thankful. Guys, I appreciate you here every single day. I think now, looking at world events, we may not know when we're not going to have it tomorrow. So we need to be lifted up and pray for each other. I very much appreciate your support over at Patreon. We've got videos where you can't really say things here on YouTube. You can say them over there, though. You can show the images over there, and you can expound on those ideas. The videos are longer. They're usually 25, 30 minutes, even longer than that. And they go through a series of ideas that all tie in together. Most of the new way of doing videos here on YouTube and other platforms is in the short form, 1 minute, a la carte platform. It's just not my style. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much. $1 a month to join over there. There's a $5 level, a handful of videos. If you sign up for a whole year, at one time you get a pretty big discount, and you do it once and then you forget about it till this time next year. Could very much use your support. God bless all of you who have. Thank you so much. Thank you, Vimeo, for giving us the opportunity to do that. Now, there are, of course, reports I'm sure you've seen about the most advanced aircraft carrier in the world steaming its way towards Israel, the USS Gerald Ford. There are some particular details, however, about its strike group that not a lot of people know. And you can kind of see it in this picture. This particular aircraft carrier is by far the most powerful and most advanced ever built. It's 3 times more powerful than any other aircraft carrier in the fleet. And it has a new advanced suite of electronics that is going to change the battlefield. Primarily because it is surrounded by other pieces of high-tech advanced equipment. As of right now, these are all the assets that they've listed heading to Israel right now. 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, a guided missile cruiser. Believe it or not, they're unmothballing A-10s. We've got F-15s, F-35s, F-16s, and of course the 2 squadrons of FA-18s that are already aboard, plus helicopters, all sorts of other things. They're keeping it quiet, they're keeping it mum right now, but they're going to pop the cap on this thing, and they're going to show something that's going to make shock and awe look like Little House on the Prairie. It is. It's going to make what Bush did, shock and awe, look like an old-fashioned Western with 6 shooters. Because they have a suite of laser defense systems aboard the Ford that's integrated with all of the other laser defense systems aboard all the other destroyers, that's going to make anything anybody would try to do just absolutely worthless. Plus, of course, you'll always have the look down, you'll have the AWACS, that put together with all the satellite imagery. It's going to be an amazing thing to see, to watch them operate together. The abilities this group has never really been tested. This group was designed to take on the Chinese, to take on missiles that are coming in at Mach 10. Helios, I'm not sure, is quite up to that task yet, but they are working on it. There's no aircraft. There's no aircraft in the world that can handle Helios right now. That just doesn't have the speed. They don't have the maneuverability. And, of course, lasers fire at, it sounds redundant to say, the speed of light. There's no having to use a computer to calculate where is that aircraft going to be if it continues that flight path, and then we're going to fire the missile to... See, with the laser system, you don't need that. You just find where it is now and shoot. It's just that simple. And as if, no one ever thought that Hamas terrorists were particularly bright people. But now it's being reported that they may have taken Russian hostages. I'm not sure exactly what they were thinking, but they'll learn the hard way. There are folks out there in this world that don't really care, let's just put it that way, about political correctness. They don't care about what your opinion of war is. See, the U.S. gets all caught up in this. This is our big, if Babylon, Mystery Babylon here in the U.S., has a problem, we get all caught up in our feely feels. We get all caught up in people's opinions of how this might be taken, and if they show this picture of that, it's going to be bad for this and that. See, the Russians don't care. The Russians don't care. It's kind of an advantage, really, if you think about it. Not having to worry about, well, gosh, in the next elections, if they show the picture of if they want to go get their people, they're going to go get their people. And they don't care if they've got to kill 100 civilians. They don't care if they kill 1,000. They're going to find their people. This is one of the things that, well, let me get to the article real quick here before we go down that road. U.S. will send Ford strike group to Eastern Mediterranean in support of Israel. At least 4 American citizens killed in attack. Most of the Israelis that have been killed or injured are actual dual citizens of America and Israel. So that's kind of a half-truth on that report. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said Sunday he has ordered the Ford carrier strike group to sail to the Eastern Mediterranean to be ready to assist Israel after the attack by Hamas has left more than 1,000 dead on both sides. Americans are reported to be among those killed and missing. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the Navy's newest and most advanced aircraft carrier, and its approximately 5,000 sailors and deck of warplanes will be accompanied by cruisers, destroyers, and a show of force. Yeah, show of force, give me a break. That is meant to be ready to respond to anything. It's not going to respond. It's nevertheless. From possibility, let's see if I can speak English, from possibly interdicting additional weapons from reaching Hamas and conducting surveillance. The large deployment, which also includes a host of ships and warplanes, underscores the concern that the United States has in trying to deter the conflict from growing. But the Israeli government formally declared war Sunday and gave the green light for significant military steps to retaliate against Hamas. Oh, real quick. We've got the Tycho class Normandy, the cruiser Normandy, the Hudner, the Ramage, the Carney, and the Roosevelt as far as destroyers go. And so I guess there's 4 destroyers and a cruiser, and then augmented F-35s, F-15s, F-16s, A-10s, and of course aboard the Roosevelt, the Ford, pardon me, itself. It has 2 entire squadrons of F-A-18s. It's got actually it's got a helicopter attack squadron from here just north of here, up in Mayport, Florida, on board. And it's also got electronic attack craft. I believe those are EA-8G Growlers, if I'm not mistaken. So, they're sending just the aircraft carrier alone, 5,000 men, 100,000 long tons, two nuclear reactors aboard. It can do 36 knots. It's one of them. It's frightening. Honest to God, it is a floating Star Destroyer. I mean, that just can't basically operate in space. But make no mistake, I don't think the fact that these guys got out by the skin of their teeth is lost on the government right now. And look, I know they're Democrats, but it doesn't matter at this point. This could have been, Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC. I mean, whoever. It wouldn't matter who this was. That they were there, and they were probably, sitting behind Secret Service, with whatever weapons they had for as long as they had. The one guy apparently was in a hotel, Mr. Goldman on the right, and Mr. Booker was in his office, I believe, or in an office. And they both had to shelter in place during the whole event. So that's, it was a holiday anniversary. I'm not saying that they waited for these guys to show up to launch their attack. I think it was just one of these things that I think Hamas, I mean, it's kind of hard to say it this way, but they better thank their lucky stars they didn't find these guys. Truly. Because you think America is quote unquote at war with Ukraine because we're supporting Ukraine. We're not at war. We're not at war. We're not at war. I mean, we sent a whole bunch of money over there. It's not the brightest idea in the world, but believe me, if there were there was a senator and a sitting rep in Hamas hands right now, I cannot imagine the giant Cat 5 hurricane of detritus that would be headed over there. It would be something beyond. So, anyway, but make no mistake, there's going to be a shakeup in the Democrat Party. Because truly, these guys are both going to come back. And while the guy on the right, anything he would say to the squad wouldn't matter, Mr. Goldman, when Cory Booker speaks over on that side of the aisle, they listen. Because if they're going to stand up anybody to step in for Joe Biden, watch this guy. Because he's got the right credentials. That's all I'm going to say. So, for them, he's got the right credentials for them. So, I'll leave it there. God bless. Have a happy Sunday. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. God bless. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.